We're in the black community. We need the cops. Cops are important. They're very significant. We as black people got to do a better job of policing ourselves. The cops have made some mistakes. I think everybody has to admit that. But we just can't, as black people, every time something goes wrong, say it's the cops' fault. We have done some damage to our own neighborhood, and we've got to do better in that aspect. Now, he goes on to say that, but we need cops. They are important. If it weren't for cops, we'd be living in the wild, wild west. Now, I agree to an extent in what Charles Barkley is saying. I do. And then the other part of it, I'm like, okay, what are you really talking about? Now, sometimes Charles Barkley, when he says things, I'm like, okay, man, this dude kind of sounds like he's a sellout. I'm not calling him a sellout, but some of the time it's like, dude, like, why are you saying things like that? But, it's his own opinion. But in this regard, what he's saying is the truth to an extent. Like I said before, I've said this on other shows, and I really wasn't able to really expound upon it, but I'm from the inner city. I'm from the home and the land of game banging and crack cocaine, and I don't say that proudly, but living here, I have had more death experiences with a man looking like me than I have with a police officer. My brother, he almost was dead. It's like another black male almost killed him. And by the grace of God that he was alive, but he never came into contact with a police officer that tried to kill him. And we in the black community, we really do have to do a better job in loving one another. Seriously, it doesn't make any sense that when I walk down the street, I have a guy walk up to me and ask me straight up, hey, cuz, where you from? Oh, you ain't from nowhere? Hey, cuz, where your mama stay? Where your grandmama stay? These are things that they gonna ask you when you from where I'm from, whether it's a Blood, a Crip, or a Hoover. And I'm not saying that to brag about it. This is the fact. If you're from LA, if you're from this area and you're a mother, your fear was my son is going to be murdered by another black man. Not so much the police, but it was, my son might get killed by his own peers. So it's not so much the police. It's blacks killing blacks. But here's my thing with Charles Barkley. He has to understand this. The police are held to a higher standard. So when you look at black men, they're doing what they're told to do, and you tell a guy, hey, do this, do that, and you still kill him, it's like, man, I mean, come on now. What are you talking about? Like, seriously, what are you talking about? But, I try to stay away from things like this because I'm a joyful individual. When I watch things like that on the news, it just makes me sad. Like, I finally watched what's that show? Roots, and it had me feeling some kind of way. I don't like feeling that kind of way. And that's why I try to stay away from things like that. I do. Life in itself is hard for me. And to watch somebody else's problem is like, oh, here we go. My life already hard. Now I got to watch somebody else's life that's worse than me. That's why I try to stay away from the news. But yeah, Charles Barkley, to an extent, he is telling the truth. Now, Charles Barkley, it's not over for Charles Barkley. Jerry Rice, one of the greatest receivers, to me, the greatest wide receiver to ever play. He and Charles Barkley had some words. Well, it was more Jerry Rice because Charles Barkley had said that the Golden State Warriors play basketball, quote, that he said that they play basketball, quote, girly basketball. That's how they play basketball. And Jerry Rice was saying that, he got championships and stuff like that. But my whole thing is that Charles Barkley, he's not lying. He's not. He's not lying when he says that they do play girly basketball. I've said that. They do. You look at them guys and you like, man, really? That's how y'all gonna play? Like, y'all not physical whatsoever. Where's the post game? And I think that's what he's alluding to. That's when you become a physical basketball team, when we can sit there and we can just grind you down, have guys foul out the game. I don't believe in that series that one person fouled out. It is girly basketball. I agree with what he said, but then he really couldn't say nothing when Jerry Rice jumped up on stage and was like, Charles, I got 3 championships. Chuck, he can't say anything. What can he say? So what, you got some championships? Yeah, but you played with a great quarterback? Man, no, he can't say that. Because Jerry Rice, in his own regard, was a great football player. To me, the greatest, I'm not going to say the great, man, probably the greatest football player to ever play. I'll go out on a limb and say that he was the greatest football player to ever play. I know ESPN, well, not ESPN, what was that? The NFL Network had they had 100 top greatest football player, and Jerry Rice was number 1. So, but I do agree with Charles Barkley was saying that they do play like girly basketball. They really do. He's not lying about that. He really isn't. And don't think for a minute that Golden State is going to win a championship. Don't think that. Don't think, they got Kevin Durant that they're going to win. Anything can happen. Isn't it ironic how they won a championship and how they lost it? Injuries start to happen, but when they won a championship, they didn't have that problem. Other teams were hurt. To me, it's just karma. They got lucky. They got supremely lucky the year that they won a championship, and karma just came up and bit them in their rear ends. That's how I feel about the situation. But that's my time for today. I'm sweating once again. I'm the Grizz. Oh, and yeah, it wasn't a lot of sports today, but we got through this. We did. We got through it. And this is the Grizz. I love y'all, and I'm out.